We'll now move on to the Academics and Innovation Committee report, Ms. Condor, or meeting, Ms. Condor.
I am calling the Committee on Academics and Innovation to order. I declare there is a quorum of committee members present and note that the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. First agenda item is Trident County Cradle to Care Math Pathways. I would like to recognize Mr. John Reed, Chief Executive of the Tri-County Cradle to Career Collaborative.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, Superintendent Ingram, members of the board. We're pleased to be here. I'm a Berkeley County resident and responsible for a 3-county, 4-district collaboration that, as the name suggests, extends from prenatal to workforce readiness. And our work is to use data strictly for improvement and collaboration as a contact sport so that the entire community takes responsibility for the education of all its children. We use groups of individuals relevant to the work so that in the case of kids from 0 to 5 and kindergarten readiness, we bring together lots of people who are involved in everything from prenatal care to preschool. In the case of the K-12 space, we rely on a regular meeting of the 4 school superintendents and support their efforts to work on issues in common. Their initiative to improve reading by 3rd grade, their intention to work together on the training and preparation of principals across the region is work that we support. And then finally, we meet regularly with the 9 provosts of the colleges and universities to which all of our kids go, and we work with them on issues of disparity and improvement in support of the kids the 5,500 kids who attend those institutions from our 4 school districts. One of the groups underneath that consortium of provosts is called the Math Pathways Project Team. It was established 3 years ago and works across the continuum to help students coming through K-12 be better prepared for college-level math, but helps the colleges to be better prepared for the students that they receive. And I want to invite our convener of that group, Jeff Schuler, who is a retired senior executive from the Boeing Company and has been meeting with that group for the past 3 years, to tell you what their recommendations are.
Thank you, John, and thank you all for allowing me to be here tonight to speak on behalf of the Math Pathways Project team. As John mentioned, my name is Jeff Schuler, and I'm a retired Boeing executive. I came to South Carolina on day 1 with Boeing in 2009. I was the first leader of Boeing South Carolina. And in 2013, I retired, and this is just one of the things that's kept me busy in retirement. I've decided to stay in South Carolina, in this region, and because it's a great place to live. Hopefully the things that this team is doing is going to help continue to improve the math programs in the Tri-County region. We started, as John mentioned, we started in 2015, this group, and we came with and created a vision, and that is to ensure mathematical proficiency by 2025 so that all Tri-County students are ready for their career aspirations. And that was the vision that we came up with at that time and have continued to pursue. The Math Pathways team is composed of the 4 school districts, that being Berkeley County, Charleston County, Dorchester 2, and Dorchester 4 school districts. And for Berkeley County, Jennifer Thorsten is your representative. And Jennifer's in the back of the room, just so you know who Jennifer is. She is your representative on this Math Pathways Project team. We also have the 6 colleges in the state, that being University of South Carolina, Clemson, the Citadel, College of Charleston, Charleston Southern, and Trident Technical College as members of this team. I believe each of you have a copy of this, and I'm going to only focus on 2 items here tonight just for time purposes. You'll see that there's been 4 focus areas that we have been working on. The 2 that I want to focus on are the first 2, and that being our focus area to develop and improve improved high school math curriculum, The second one being to develop and implement improved evidence-based math programs in kindergarten through 3rd grade. Now moving on to the high school initiative, and the team came up with a recommendation and a proposal for the 4 school districts related to requiring and proposing progressive math curriculum for every year of high school and an end of course exam requirements for each of those years. A lot of the students in this region complete their math requirements in their junior year and in some cases in their sophomore year. And as a result, there's a gap of at least 1 year between that junior year and the time they either 1, enter college in the curriculum in college, or 2, enter their career aspirations. And we're seeing that in that gap year or years, they're losing proficiency in math. So as a result of this team recommends to the 4 school districts that all students should complete 4 credits of math in high school, including Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Geometry, and a 4th higher level math course beyond Algebra 2. That's the first recommendation we have. The second one is that all students should enroll in and complete a math course each year of high school. Students who complete required math credits prior to the 9th grade may receive graduation credit for their coursework. However, these students should still enroll and complete a math course during every high school year. And it was mentioned earlier, financial literacy. That may be one if they complete it and they still need to take an additional course. That may be one that they want to consider. The third piece of that recommendation is that students planning on pursuing a STEM career should take an algebra-based course, preferably pre-calculus, as their 4th level math course. And if pre-calculus is completed prior to the senior year, students should enroll in and complete an additional algebra-based course. And then the last piece of that recommendation is that the high school math courses beyond Algebra 1 should include a final course exam that is common across the district and aligned exclusively to the set of priority standards that are set forth by that course, for that course. And I know in the state of South Carolina there is a standard test requirement for Algebra 1, but not for Algebra 2 and beyond. We are currently pulling together a recommendation that hopefully will go to the state level, recommending that those other courses beyond Algebra 1 also have a common exam that is administered for each of those courses. The other area that I want to mention tonight, just based on time, is in the area of kindergarten through 3rd grade. And the Math Pathways Project team has looked at and chosen a program that was started last year. And it actually involved all 4 school districts. It's called Ongoing Assessment Project. It's OGAP for short, in an acronym. And it was identified as our first program to implement in that area. It's the understanding that students, if they do not have the basic fundamentals of math, that being additive and multiplication, by the time they get out of the 3rd grade, they have difficulty with math through their entire school years and beyond. So last year we had 2 cohorts that were conducted in June, hosted by Charleston County, but we also had participation last year by Berkeley County, Dorchester 2, and Dorchester 4 in that training. There was good results out of that. In fact, Charleston County has continued to conduct that training through this year, and they're beginning to see good results from that OGAP training to those elementary teachers to give them the required training they need to teach students, since they're teaching all the courses in those elementary grades. It's giving them more foundation for math principles to teach those students. We are going to, again, conduct that training session in the June timeframe of this year for Charleston County, and the other 3 school districts will be able to participate in that also. There is a cost associated with that. It's not excessive. We are recommending that in the case of Berkeley County, that they again participate in that program and then plan moving forward to maybe expand it. Right now, the participation in Berkeley County is across all 3 school districts up and above Charleston County is only 12 teachers. We'd like to get that expanded out so that more elementary teachers in the Berkeley County School District can participate in that OGAP training in those elementary years of school. And with that, I think that's what I wanted to cover tonight. Hopefully you'll take those and implement those. We are seeing good results in each of those areas. Thank you.
Thank you.
You mentioned OGAP training. What is that?
It's a program, a training program. It's a 1-week program for additive and 1-week program for multiplicative skills that's conducted here. They're conducting it here in the region. In the case of Charleston County, Berkeley County has the capability of participating in that, and as well as Dorchester 2 and 4. But it's really focused on teaching those elementary teachers in grades 1 and 2 the additive requirements, and then 3 and 4 the multiplicative requirements for training students on just getting their skills even better than what they are today.
So the statistics that you have that shows the need for that came from what study?
The OGAP is a federal program, and there's a couple of different, I don't have those math, what was the benefits and that they've seen, but there's been a federal study, a national study that has shown that training has had a positive impact on those elementary teachers that have gone through the program. We can get you that information, but I don't have that with me tonight.
So what is the cost for these type? Is there a cost involved for the district?
There is, and it's not excessive. As I said, Charleston County is hosting it again this year, but for Berkeley County, Dorchester 2 and Dorchester 4, it's the cost of the books for that training class, and it's about $40 per book for that training course. And there's some supplies expenses that are associated with the actual coursework itself, but most of the cost is within that $40 cost for the books.
I might add that Cradle of Career is prepared to match the contributions of the other 3 districts. I think the total cost for all 3 districts was in the range of $2,500. We'll do half of that, so the Berkeley County share is modest.
I've got a question, unless my memory doesn't serve me well. I think the state requirements for math graduation diploma is 3 credits. Is that correct? Is it 4?
It's 4.
It's 4. So we're asking now, and that's a state requirement. It shows how out of touch I am, evidently.
Yeah, and many of those 4 courses, in many cases, the students complete those by the end of their junior year.
Okay, so you're saying all students should have, because basically they're all required to have 4 now. So there's no change in the state requirement.
Yes, and if they finish their 4 before their senior year, we're asking them to take another math course that senior year to bridge that gap between the junior year and college or career.
There are some issues that could evolve because we do have a considerable number of seniors that graduate in December every year, and they many times take those coursework. They've already completed those 4 maths. So if we're requiring each student to take a math every year, that would be an issue for those students that need specific courses that first semester of their senior year to graduate early. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I'm not. Do you have an idea on that?
I am familiar with students that do graduate early, but I did not. I thought that we were not including them in this particular recommendation. But I think that is something that we can certainly talk about.
Yeah, they certainly would have if they graduated by December, they'd only have a 6-month gap, but there may be still some loss there.
Okay.
It's mainly those students that are probably going to have a 4-year gap there.
I fully support having math every year, but there may be some tweaks and maybe some issues that come up and arise, just like these graduating seniors in December. They may need government economics, English, and U.S. history, and don't need a math. May have already satisfied those. So the requirement to have a math course every year could be cumbersome. Anyway, that's just my thoughts. Thank you for your presentation. It was very well received.
One more question. You're recommending for a Pacific course, right? You're saying Algebra 1, 2, Geometry, and then Pre-Cal. Is that what you suggesting? You're not just saying any math?
That's for the STEM, the students that are going on to a STEM career, science, technology, and mathematics. For those, we do.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, what is the pleasure of the committee? Any other discussion? Okay. The second agenda item is Head Start information. Dr. Kevin O'Gorman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Ms. Condor. Good evening again, everyone. At this time, I would like to ask that you approve the Head Start Budget Expenditure Report for January 2018, Head Start Credit Card Report for January 2018, and the 2016-17 Annual Report.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the Head Start Budget Expenditures Report for January 2018, Head Start Credit Card Report for January 2018, and the 2016-17 Annual Report.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. The third agenda item is Childhood Development Education Program Curriculum Adoption, second reading. Dr. O'Gorman, you are recognized again.
Thank you. Since the first reading, I've not had any questions about this adoption. Therefore, I'd like to ask that you approve the adoption of a big day in pre-K, Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, for second reading.
What is the pleasure of the committee? Do I hear a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the adoption of a big day in pre-K, Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, for second reading.
I second. All in favor, say aye.
Madam Condor, or Madam Chair,
Opposed? I'm sorry.
I did have a question.
Okay.
So with our second readings, do we need to approve that in committee before that's brought to the full board, since the first reading was already brought?
Yeah, so we had to think about it when we were planning the agenda as if there were changes. And if there were changes, it would need to come back to committee. So that's the way to clear changes and get back to the full board. We talked about it a long time to try to figure out the right way to do it because we've never done it before. And these, it seemed redundant, but if you had changes, the committee would need to debate the changes.
Gotcha.
So that's how we ended up on this part feeling redundant. Like, for instance, the board policy, where we had a change between the first reading and the second reading, that would have been debated in committee before it came back to the full board.
Gotcha.
Which would make more sense than a redundant where there's no changes.
Okay. So can we look at that for future, and also like with our Head Start approvals, I don't think that we can vote to not send it to the full board. I think the full board has to. I think that's one of the things, like in our Head Start training, we have to approve that.
Yeah, it has to be approved and go to the full board.
Yeah. So everything that we do has to be approved to go to the full board? Is that what you're saying? Okay. Because, well, and the reason I bring this up is, like in our Head Start training, we we can't say, let's don't send it to the full board because the full board has to vote on it every month.
Has to review it, yes, but in theory, the committee should clear questions and concerns, so it's vetted. So it should be a stronger vetting process to be heard twice.
Gotcha. I was just trying to keep us from being redundant.
Yeah. We debated what is the right thing to do. Sorry.
That was it.
Call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, fourth agenda item is Heritage Keepers Abstinence Education 1 and 2 curricula. Second reading, Dr. Gorman, you are recognized again.
I'm fearful of sounding redundant, but
Sorry.
I ask that you approve for second reading the recommendation of the Health Advisory Committee to provide Heritage Keepers Abstinence Education 1 and 2 curricula as an instructional option for middle schools and high schools for reproductive health education and family life education. I've had no questions from the board since first reading.
Do I hear a motion? I move that we approve the fourth agenda item, Heritage Keepers Abstinence Education 1 and 2 curricula, second reading. All in favor?
I'll second
You'll
that.
second it? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Fifth agenda item is local board approved course Dental Assistant 1, second reading. Dr. O'Gorman, you are again recognized.
Thank you. Again, I've had no questions about this course, so I ask that you approve Dental Assistant 1 for second reading as a new innovative course in Berkeley County School District to expand into a new dental assistant pathway.
Okay, what is the pleasure of the committee? Do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve the local board approved course Dental Assistant 1 for second reading.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Sixth agenda item is a local board approved course, Intermediate Manufacturing, second reading. Dr. O'Gorman, you are again recognized.
Thank you, Ms. Condor. Again, I've had no questions about intermediate manufacturing. Therefore, I ask you approve intermediate manufacturing for second reading as a new innovative elective course for all high schools in Berkeley County School District.
Do I hear any motions? So move.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Seventh agenda item is the 2017, 2018, and proposed 2018-2019 local board approved and innovative courses, first reading. Dr. O'Gorman, you are again recognized.
Dr. McLaren has the joy of dealing with course codes. So I'm going to turn this item over to her.
Good evening, Chair Condor. We are dotting an I and crossing a T for the State Department of Education tonight. We bring to you the list of courses for 17-18 that are local board approved and innovative. You have, all of you were given, the program of study guide. It is in draft form, but it got you the course description for these courses. Many of them you have already approved. There's nothing new on the 17-18 list. For the 18-19 list, the only thing new are some Academic Learning Center English electives that are necessary to meet the requirements for the Read to Succeed legislation at the high school level. We're just adding a level 3 and 4 to those English electives. So at this time, we would ask that you approve the 17-18 list of local board approved courses as provided and the proposed 18-19 local board approved courses as provided for first reading.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the 2017-18 list of local board approved courses as provided and the proposed 2018-19 local board approved courses as provided for first reading.
I second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. The 8th agenda item, boy, y'all really gave me a lot to do tonight, is 2018-2019 Berkeley County School District adoptions of state textbooks, first reading. Dr. O'Gorman, you are again recognized.
Each year, the State Department allows us to choose from books that they provide free to every public school. They give us a list of books that they have cleared. We then put together committees of teachers who look at those books and vote on which book they would like to help support the content that they are teaching. This year we have science, CTE, and world language books up for adoption. You have the list of what the teachers selected. So we ask that you approve the books selected by teachers from each high school as presented.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make a couple of comments here, and Dr. O'Gorman, you know that this is something that I find very challenging. I get a little heartburn sometimes by being told by the state what textbooks we can have in our classrooms. That's why I want to take some care in reviewing these lists, and I know that our teachers have reviewed them, and I know that our teachers are really good at picking out what would be appropriate for their students. But I do get a little heartburn when I feel like we're limited. I feel like that there's some really good textbooks outside of the parameters of what the state recommends. Kind of, you know, are we under the gun to choose these textbooks immediately, or what's the deadline?
We want to select the textbooks in a timely fashion so that we have the ability to order them and get them in time for next school year to start.
Okay.
This is the ones that the state provides for free.
Mm-hmm.
They don't always fund all of the ones they even propose to us.
Right.
We always have the option to look at other textbooks.
Mm-hmm.
The board can choose to adopt those texts as well, and we would just have to fund them locally.
Okay.
Just to clarify, and this is going to look really confusing in the next couple of meetings because the state has pushed out one set of adoptions, and literally right now we've got teachers looking at another set of adoptions because we're leaning on the publishers to provide us with the textbooks so that teachers can review them. So the textbook adoption cycle does not always make a lot of sense. But like Dr. McLaren said, we can adopt these now, and if we choose to use another textbook later and pay for it, we can certainly do that. But adopting them now allows us to go ahead and order them and get them in the hands of teachers prior to the start of the next school year. And as you know, there are a lot of teachers who would like to get their hands on that textbook as soon as possible so they can look at it over the summer if at all possible to plan for next year.
Right, and I hear you, okay? But I'm of the opinion that sometimes free is not always good. So, anyway, we'll go ahead and this is the first reading, so I'll go ahead and ask for a motion. Do I hear a motion that we adopt the state textbooks, this is the first reading, as the first reading?
Just another comment. I think it's true that these books have already been adopted by the State Board of Education.
Yes, sir.
So this is a trickle down. We are approving the ones that have already been looked at and reviewed and approved by the State Board. And our teachers, do the teachers have these textbooks in hand now?
Yes, sir, they do.
And when will they be making the judgment as to which ones they would like?
The teachers have already looked at the 4 or 5 in each area that the state allowed us to choose from. The teachers have, the committees met, and the teachers have voted. The ones we are recommending to the board for each course in the list are the ones that our teachers selected.
Do we normally, I think we do, have them on display for review by the public?
They are on display in the boardroom, yes, sir.
Okay.
And
that
there's
answers my
a
question.
list on the board docs, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, okay. So you can look at the board docs and see which ones are listed there. Any other discussion?
Yes, I do. I have a question. All of these books, do they have an electronic version of them so that we can use them with our Chromebooks?
Almost all do. I can't say that all do, and I can't tell you exactly which one right now, but I can get you the answer.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll say, if there's not an online component, there should be at least a PDF component, if that makes sense.
It does, yes.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, I'm going to call for a motion for the 2018-2019 Berkeley County School District adoption of state textbooks, first reading.
Second.
All in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, nay. Motion carries. Sorry, y'all, I'm getting a little tired. The 9th agenda item is December graduates. Dr. O'Gorman, you are again recognized.
Dr. McLaren is going to talk about December graduates for I and B4 program for J, just as a heads up. These are exciting new opportunities for our high school students. So this is exciting, unlike some of the other stuff that was redundant this week.
Each year, we have seniors who complete their necessary coursework for graduation at the end of first semester, but we only hold graduation at the end of the year. These seniors choose to be early completers. We mark them as inactive students. They are not allowed to be involved in any of our extracurricular activities. They are not included in class rank, and they don't benefit from us, and we do not get funded for any of these students. Last year, we had 158 of them, but we haven't been doing our best by this group of students because the early completers, then many of them are wanting to go to college second semester, but because they don't have a diploma in hand, they are not eligible for any scholarships or grants that they might otherwise be eligible for with a diploma. So we're costing them extra money. So it is our proposal. We have met with all high school principals. All high school principals are very much in support of Berkeley County School District beginning to issue diplomas at the end of first semester so that we have graduates at the end of first semester. Won't change anything for us, but it will allow these students to have their diploma and be able to move forward with the possibility of some scholarships and grants so that they can move on with their plans to be college and career ready. So we recommend at this time that the committee approve Berkeley County School District beginning to have December graduates for the 18-19 school year and beyond.
Any discussion?
Who figured this out? Was it you or someone else in your office as far as how to correct this problem?
There are many great minds in our office.
I know, but would you say it was you or who? Reason I'm saying is I knew that this was a serious problem, and I want to applaud the individual that figured this out because we were really dropping the ball before, and I really think this is a great step forward.
We recognize Chris Weed in the back, Kim McLaren, my entire team this is something that we talked about quite a lot.
Yeah, because I know I'd referred some issues to her, and I thank you for figuring out a solution because, like I said, it was awful what we were doing before. Good job. Thank you so much.
Hot dog, we got a staff that's rocking and rolling.
I'd like to ask a question, and it's a good question because I know that we provide summer school graduation ceremonies and programs for those students that graduate late. So it seems to me that it would be incumbent upon us not to just allow them to graduate, but have a ceremony as well.
Mr. Barrow, you should be concerned, because we've agreed a lot tonight. I just wrote down to Dr. Ingram and went ceremony question mark. I feel like you don't just give a diploma, but you recognize, whether it's just a county-wide one, I mean, not trying to make schools have a whole additional graduation, but do a county-wide recognition of your December graduates. I agree completely. Get their diploma and acknowledge them.
Yeah, they have their own school's graduation attire, but there's one ceremony for everybody, and I think that that is something that if we're going to do this, we may as well go ahead and do it the right way. So I don't know if we need to make an amendment to this motion or to just expect you folks to carry through with this.
I listened to you, Mr. Barrett.
Okay.
If that's the pleasure of the board, we'll make it happen.
Then I'd like to make that amendment that the first semester graduates not only be allowed to get their diploma, but to have a unified graduation ceremony at a site to be determined, and for them to wear their original garb, their original graduation attire. That's an amendment to this motion.
Okay. All right. Do I hear a full motion on that, Mr. Barrow?
I just did.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Anybody second?
I'll second.
Seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Check.
10th agenda item is the B4 program. Dr. O'Gorman, you are again recognized.
Okay, so I think this is even more exciting than the December graduates. And just for the record, Dr. McLaren, Ms. Weed, Dan, I'll weigh in on this as well as the rest of the team. But this is pretty cool stuff. Even Dusty Jackson helped design the brochure that you have in front of you. So.
You do have a brochure that summarizes everything for you. You received this in the board packet, but we wanted you to have the actual brochure this time. We are really excited about the possibility of a B4 program. We don't just want to look at what we're doing for our early graduates. We want to make sure we are truly serving the needs of all of our students. Because for some, they feel like early graduation is an honor. We feel like we can give them something even better in this B4 program. B4 means that you are part of a program where you are taking 4 college courses off-site spring semester through Trident Technical College. You take these courses before graduation, before college, before career. It is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for our students, because students are able to benefit from a 47% reduction in Trident Technical College if they are full-pay students, or they have free classes if they are free or reduced lunch students. This does not start their clock, 8-semester clock, for any scholarships or grants that they would qualify for. So if they become a part of our B4 program, they're basically finished with their high school work first semester, but they can take 4 college classes, they can remain our students, they can stay in class rank, they can participate in extracurricular activities. If they want to, they can take a course, if it fits in the time schedule, at their home high school, either to complete a career pathway, or if they're the super duper head of ROTC, they can take their final ROTC course. If they are the drum major, they can stay in band spring semester. It gives them another option where we save them lots of money. We don't start their scholarship clock, yet they can start their college degree or career. It also counts as dual credit courses, so they have the opportunity to be increasing their GPA overall in these courses as long as they do well. We gave you a list of highlights for these courses. We are real excited about this. We have always had the ability to do this, and some of our neighboring colleges have had a similar program in place. Berkeley County has just never taken it upon itself to take advantage of this. Trident Technical College is a wonderful partner for us, and they work well with our students in advising them as to which credits then could also transfer to whatever other college they might want to go to. So it is the recommendation of administration at this time that you approve the B4 program as presented.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the B4 program as submitted by administration. Is there a second?
Second, but I do have a question.
Go ahead.
So we're talking about students that have met the requirements for graduation, but have chosen not to graduate early in December?
It can be them, because we would be saving them money, or it can be students who are getting their final English credit through dual credit in the B4 program.
So how is this different than what they're already allowed to do? They could already finish their spring semester and take whatever coursework they wanted, including AP and dual credit. What's the distinction?
The distinction is that the B4 students will be taking 4 dual, that is their course load, 4 dual credit classes off-site with Trident Tech.
Are they then eligible for the honors diploma?
If they meet the honors diploma requirements, yes, sir, because they would be our full-time students all the way to the end of the year.
Who picks up the funding for the Trident Technical?
Trident Tech covers the 45%, the 47% reduction. Okay. Trident Tech covers the cost for our free and reduced lunch kits. Okay. Up until this year, Trident Tech was also able to cover the cost of textbooks, but they had a reduction in funding. So this year, Berkeley County School District covered the cost of textbooks for our free and reduced lunch students only. And that was part of the paperwork that we shared with you.
Is there a requirement for these students to attend the high school, or could they do it online at home?
They can do it online at home. It depends on the course.
Right.
And the professor.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
How involved are the corporations in this program? The local corporation, Volvo, Mercedes, Boeing, are they a part of this?
No, sir. This is the local corporation that is involved in this program is Trident Technical College. They are the one financing the huge discounts to us and making room for our students on their campus.
It's my understanding that this will give our students an opportunity to work towards college degrees while they're in high school.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. And in some cases, or in many cases, especially our children who are in the socioeconomically challenged brackets, that it would certainly be beneficial for them. I think that is something that would be tremendously advantageous for our students, and I see no reason why we shouldn't do it.
I'd like to applaud the administration for taking this initiative as well. I think it's well thought out, well planned, and appreciated by me in particular, and I'm sure by other members of the board. So.
Yeah, I very much appreciate it as well, because it's another problem that I recognize, that we were not adequately giving a lot of the children their senior year. Some of them might be economically challenged, whereas some of them actually were going to college and were exceptional school students, and most of their senior year they don't have much to do. And so I've been getting complaints from kids that do quite well, that they get to the senior year and hey, it's their senior year but don't have any classes to take. So I see this program as a tremendous opportunity. And again, whoever came up with this idea, I will applaud the entire team on this, so thank you.
I also see this as an opportunity to involve the other cooperation as well, maybe in the future sometime.
I have no problem asking people to help us.
I think this also, I think it solves many issues that we may have had, many challenges. We just heard from our Cradle to Career collaborative, and this could kind of help answer some of those questions and fill that gap that they're seeing that fourth year or that senior year math. This could be a college level math that our students are taking for either free or a very reduced cost. It also helps our district, and I don't know if everybody read in the packet or recognized what was said earlier. We don't get funding for those students, those early graduates, our December graduates. We don't get funded for those. So we're teaching them all first semester, and we don't get funding for them because they're not enrolled in our schools on the 135th day. So this helps our students. It helps fill a gap that our Cradle to Career collaborative has seen, and it helps our school district with our funding. So I agree. I think this is a fabulous idea. Thank you.
Call for the question, Madam Chair.
I was getting there. Call for the question.
Aye.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'm still here, Mr. Barrow.
Okay. The 11th agenda item is 2018-2019 Cross High School schedule. Dr. O'Gorman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Ms. Condor. Just a little background information. The state does not regulate high school schedules, except that schools must be held for at least 6 hours a day, excluding lunch. High schools have the option of a traditional schedule, 4x4, AB schedule, etc. Most of the high schools in Berkeley County operate on a 4x4. Cross High School is currently on an AB schedule, which is 4 classes every other day. And we found that having one school on a different schedule limits Cross High School's students in maintaining credits. If they switch schools, it inhibits their ability to take courses at other schools, such as a CTE course, for example, and also makes it difficult if a student gets referred to the alternative school. They try to run 2 different schedules concurrently to meet the needs of all their students. In addition, it limits students' ability to retake a course in the spring semester if they're not successful in the fall. Cross High School students have expressed a desire to focus on 4 courses at one time instead of 8 all year long. And the 4x4 schedule also aligns better with Trident Tech's schedule for students wanting to take dual credit courses like in the B4 program we just mentioned. With that, we recommend that you approve Cross High School's 9th through 12th grades operating on a 4x4 schedule for the 18-19 school year and beyond.
I have a question.
Thank you.
So when we approved Cross High School to go to the AB schedule, there were some challenges that they weren't able to meet on the 4x4 block. What can we do different to make sure that they can meet whatever needs they have on the 4x4 block? What I'm saying is I don't want to set them up for failure putting them back into a 4x4 block.
Right. We'll have to get into strategic planning with the school. We have found, going back to your question, that we've had a number of students with IEPs that it was a challenge to meet the requirements of their IEP based on that schedule. We weren't able, based on the certification at the school, to take some of those teachers with elective credits and fix the schedule and meet the middle school and high school requirements. Scheduling for a small school is a challenge in and of itself. Scheduling a small school in grades 7 through 12 is also a challenge. So it will take some work for sure.
Any further discussion? Mr. Barrow?
Just a comment, the 4x4 also allows the early December graduates, and the AB did not. I've never been a proponent of the AB and voted for it last year because the administration at Cross High asked for that and thought it would be best at the time for their school. But given the circumstances and the challenges that it presented, I'm happy that they've requested to go back to the 4x4.
One question, Ms. Condor, I'm sorry. The 7th graders and 8th graders will be running a normal middle school schedule?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I know before they were trying to get everybody on the same schedule, so I was curious what the middle schoolers were going to be doing.
Well, I'm happy to...
We want to get it right there.
Madam Chair, I'm happy to see that they're moving forward with the 4x4 as well, because it's much easier, and you have, like you said earlier, you have students who may graduate earlier. They can also do some of those things that other schools are doing. And on the AB, you just couldn't do that.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we allow Cross High School to return to the 4x4 block schedule as opposed to the current AB schedule.
Second?
Okay. There was a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we're going to get down to the fun stuff. 12th agenda item is the State Accountability Model Presentation. Dr. Lee Westbury, you are recognized.
Dr. Ingram, Madam Chairman, members of the board. Tonight I'm going to share with you the new accountability model that the state has mandated for our schools. Lots of changes that we're going to be undergoing. I want to preface this with saying we applauded great programs and great ideas. I didn't do this. I'm the messenger. So I get to deliver this message to you tonight. First thing you want to look at is that in elementary, middle, and high school, the required indicators or domains are going to be academic achievement. For elementary and middle, it'll be academic progress. High school will be graduation rate. All 3 levels, they measure EL proficiency, and all 3 levels have school quality and student success. And school quality is based on a student survey that they haven't seen yet, and student success is based on science and social studies achievement, where academic achievement is on ELA and math achievement. So the percentage weights that are going to be there, it's very hard for you to see where it's on the screen outside. For elementary schools with 20 or more EL learners, academic achievement will be 35% between ELA and math. Without 20 EL learners, that goes to 40% of their school report card rating. Academic progress is 35% for ELA and math, and 40% if they don't have 20 ELs. EL proficiency is 10% if they have it, obviously nothing if they don't. School quality, which is that survey, is 10% of their report card rating. And student success, which is science and social studies, is 10% for SC Pass achievement results. Middle school is the same. High school is different. Academic achievement is going to be the EOCs, English 1 and Algebra 1 currently, is 25% if they have 20 or more EL learners, 30% if they do not. Graduation rate is 25% or 30% without the ELs. EL proficiency, 10%. School quality is the survey, is 5%. And then the college and career readiness, and we'll talk about what that means, is 25%. And student success is biology and U.S. history EOCs are 10%. So it's 5% each. So what does academic achievement measure look like? They are changing the way this is calculated, and this is very important to understand. That currently, if you look at SC Ready scores, a student who is in the not met 1 category or does not meet calculates as 1 point. Under the new accountability system, it calculates as 0. So that 0 goes in the numerator and the denominator. Same thing with EOCs. EOCs, we used to report out percent passing. Now that change is if the child makes an F, it counts as a 0 in the calculation. If a child makes a D, it counts as a 1 in the calculation, and up the chain to an A is 4. Difference is going to be the 0 counts in the numerator and the denominator, and this will make a great impact on how that looks for our schools. So this is something that will probably upset you a little bit, as it does most people. The first year out the gate, all scores are going to be set on a bell curve. It's predetermined, that's what it'll be. So you can see by this chart, for SC Ready and SC Pass simulations, 75% of schools in the state will be average or below average first year out. It's predetermined. I didn't do it, Ms. Condor. They base the results off of 2 years' worth of data. So the first year will be a bell curve. The second year, they will establish cut scores. And those cut scores will remain stagnant for 5 years. In years past federal accountability, those cut scores kept moving up each year. They'll stay the same for 5 years, so schools will have an opportunity to climb the ladder. EOC simulations, first year out the gate, same thing, 75% of schools average or below. Here's an example of the difference in EOC calculations. So in the left, you see 4 scores, 57, 67, 72, 81. Last year, that would have been reported as a 75% passing rate. Under the new system, it's going to come out to 9 points, 9.3 points out of a possible 25. That's the way the system is set up now. These will be reported on the October report card that will come out in October for this school year. Academic progress. Current school year's test scores will be on your next year's report card on this scale. Academic progress is measured 2 ways. 50% of academic progress is measured for all students, how much do they grow comparative to other students in the state. Other 50% of that is the measure of the lowest quintile, the lowest 20% of students' academic achievement, how much did they grow. So that lowest percentage, lowest 20%, are being measured twice. And the overall academic growth, that's 50%, and then 50% all on their own. And again, that's comparative to all other schools in the state. Ratings for academic progress gives you 65% of schools average or below in the state. And for elementary schools, because 3rd grade doesn't give you 2 years' worth of data, all their eggs are in the 4th and 5th grade basket. Language proficiency. You see the simulations, they assume that elementary school is going to do a little bit better than the rest of us. Middle and high are running about true, still being about 75% of schools being average or below. Student success. This is science and social studies. So for SC Pass and EOCs, again, that 0 counts in the numerator and denominator, and there's a new rating system for each of those. School Quality Survey is a new survey that all of our students will have to take. They have the state report card survey that they actually just finished, and that's only in certain grade levels. But this survey will have to be taken by all students grade 3 through 12 with a 95% return rate. It's coming out in April. It will be an online survey, and this is all based on student engagement. So, again, elementary, middle, it counts as 10%. High school, it counts as 5%. And this year, they're having to give both surveys. Survey for target simulations, I really look at 90 percentile and above. It gives you an excellent rating. I can tell you that high school survey data from students normally comes out between 70 and 80% being in favor of whatever they're being asked. And that's pretty historical. College and career readiness. In order to ascertain college readiness, we have one of several ways to achieve it. ACT, have a 20 or higher on the ACT composite score. SAT, a 10, 20 or higher or composite score. AP, if a child takes one AP course and scores a 3 or higher, check that box, they're college ready, any AP course. Same thing with IB if they score 4 or higher. Dual credit if they earn 6 hours or higher at a C or higher grade level. You can check that box. And currently, that only counts for ELA, math, science, social studies, and I believe engineering was added to that. For career readiness, students have to be a CAPE completer and earn a state or national credential. For career ready assessment, which is our new assessment, in the years past, it's been work keys. Just this February, last month, the contract was awarded to Worldwide International Interactive Network, and it's going to be the WIN Ready for Work test that we are giving in April. We haven't learned a whole lot about the test yet, other than it will credential just like Work Keys does, having gold, silver, platinum, bronze level credentials. There are 4 areas of that test: reading, locating information, applied mathematics, and soft skills. Currently, soft skills is not being counted in accountability yet. ASVAB, they have to score 31 or higher, and they can have an approved work-based learning experience, and there are 2 ways to achieve that. So any one of those things, they can check the box as being career ready. Again, this is the career readiness assessment showing that there are 4 areas. It's one additional area that Work Keys didn't have is the soft skills. So stay tuned. I think that'll show up in our accountability model in the near future. Graduation rate. This is also different and will have an impact on all of our high schools in Berkeley County. This is a 4-year graduation rate only. In years past, we've had a 4-year and a 5-year. Also in years past, if students went to the adult ed diploma program, they didn't count against us. Now they will. So any child who goes to adult ed diploma or GED counts in your cohort unless that child graduates within the original 4 years. Though they still have to track them for the dropout reporting. Graduation rate simulations, anything above 90% is excellent, anything below 70% is unsatisfactory. Report cards. The district will not receive a report card next school year. Schools will receive report cards only. Okay. And report cards will be measured, each report card for the school, they will have a rating for each domain, academic achievement, academic progress, or grad rate, each of those areas, and then they will have an overall rating. And I'm going to mention one thing that I didn't include in this because it's a futures issue, but Mr. Reed with Cradle to Career mentioned this. We have changes in futures of EOCs in our state. There will be an Algebra 2 EOC. That is coming. It will be field tested, and we're transitioning so that middle school students don't double test. Those kids in middle school that take Algebra 1 in middle school, when we transition out, they will no longer take SC Ready. Those middle school students will take Algebra 1 EOC in middle school, and they will take an Algebra 2 EOC in high school. Traditional students in middle school will take SC Ready in middle school and use Algebra 1 as their accountability assessment in high school. The current debate is whether or not all students take an Algebra 2 EOC. English 1 will also be changing. English 1 EOC will go away, and we will have an English 2 EOC. And that will be all students will take English 2, and middle school students, whether they're traditional or English 1 students, will all take SC Ready.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
If we go back to the elementary school section where you talked about all the eggs being in the 4th and 5th grade basket.
Yes, ma'am.
We have some unusual grade configurations in Berkeley County. We have some where we have 5th grade at a middle school, we have 7th grade at high school. How is that going to look? How are we going to evaluate those?
This is a good question. The elementary and middle school models are the same. So they will report, there's no difference in the percentage points. So they will report out for the grade levels in that school.
So for our schools that only go up to 4th grade, they will...
4th grade will be their assessment.
That will be it.
Yes, ma'am.
That seems kind of hard for those schools. And we'll still have some K-2 schools, correct?
You have a couple of primaries. They have guidance for primary schools. It's not required changes.
Okay.
But currently, this school year and this spring, those primary principals or elementary principals that have second grade will have to report out the percentage of their students that are projected to meet expectation on SC Ready in the third grade. And we have that measuring tool using our reading inventory and math inventory assessments that we have in the district. So they're setting those cut scores for them to be able to make those projections to get ready for the Read to Succeed and third grade retention, making those projections to the state.
Okay, so we've thought ahead for all of our different types of configurations for our schools, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
As you can see, this is it's not as friendly evaluation system. And I think that you do need to be aware of this because it will come out in October and there'll be lots of questions because schools are not going to be performing according to this as well as they have been.
Well, that's kind of like putting the cart before the horse.
Ma'am?
It's kind of like putting the cart before the horse. What they're doing is they're saying that they're failing our children before it even happens.
Yes, ma'am.
That's an abomination.
That is based on federal ESSA requirements.
That is, I don't care what it's based
Yes, ma'am.
on.
I understand.
I'm sorry, Lee, it's not you. I know it's not you. You're just the messenger. But I cannot sit here and fully comprehend what in the world they are doing to our children.
I agree.
Ms. Condor, I really think it puts the pressure on us as a board to really work on local standards that are logical, because some of this is just absolutely illogical. It is not going to be a measure of the education children are receiving in Berkeley County. A cut score and predetermining 75% are average or below is ridiculous.
Absolutely.
And our community is going to ask us, what are we doing to meet these requirements? And I really believe our answer should be, we're going to have local common sense measures and requirements so that we're producing highly educated, well-balanced, high-character kids. And it is not, what we're going to take more tests on. When I hear people talk about taking more tests, I think, oh, that's what we need, more tests. That is not what we need. We need more hands-on learning. We need more things that make sense. I've got a fourth grader who's been able to multiply since he was in 4K. And that sounds crazy, but he had a teacher who took glasses, and she started off with 2s, and they started counting the glasses. And then she had 4x4 trucks, and you counted the wheels. And he can multiply like that because it's hands-on, it's something that makes sense. He doesn't need more multiplication tests. He needs more things that help him remember concrete things. So thank you for this information, but to me, it doesn't put pressure on me to meet these standards. It puts pressure on us to make quality local standards.
I could care less about these, and I'm serious. I think the chairwoman is absolutely correct that we need to start developing our own standards. And, I'm thinking of a situation my daughter-in-law brought up to me the other day about my grandchild who is in 5th grade. And I'm not at all putting down her teacher. I think her teacher is wonderful. I think she does a fantastic job. But my daughter-in-law was complaining that Riley brings home a history book and a science book, and she's required to read some chapters, and then she goes back to school, and the teacher gives her a test. There's no discussion, none whatsoever, about what she read in the classroom. Here again, we are teaching our children just to take tests. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of these standards being shoved down our children's throats. I'm tired of our teachers not having the autonomy and our schools not having the autonomy that we deserve to have to teach our children what we think they need to be taught.
Dr. Westbury, was this mandated by state board policy or by the EOC mandated by law? the Education Oversight Committee?
It was mandated to meet federal accountability, and the state, South Carolina, submitted a plan to the federal government. The federal government sent it back with these changes.
So our legislators did not have input, or maybe they did, but it was revised at the federal level. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir, we did receive feedback from the feds with changes.
Okay. Is there any appeal to this mandate?
Not at this time. Now, I will say this, Mr. Barrow, though. It has changed, and this is why I haven't come to you before with what this is, because it has changed multiple times. So the state's trying to figure out what this looks like in South Carolina to meet these federal guidelines. This has been constant now for about 3 weeks, so I felt safe bringing it to you, but we've had changes all year as they're trying to figure it out.
Well, one reason I ask if the state board had any input in this, and I'm glad they did, but I'm sorry that what they proposed was negated by the federal level. But what continues to bother me is the state mandate, State Board of Education mandate that excludes the attendance requirements from proficiency, from promotion and retention. And I agree with the board chair and Ms. Condor. We need proficiency standards that are locally based, based upon what our educators, what our teachers, and what our administrators feel like proficiency should look like, other than simply making 60 on a coursework. Because that, to me, is not proficient. And I know that the state board reduced from 70 to 60 proficiency standards. That's unacceptable to me. When I was in school, 60, you failed, unless you took college and made a D and you couldn't transfer that credit regardless. So I think we're going down, the fact is we're doing things, number one, that makes it more difficult for our children in terms of these mandates, but we're also making it easier for the graduation rate, because the only thing we're requiring them to do is pass a class by making a 60 in it. So Dr. O'Gorman, and I know his staff is already working on this, is that the principals and the educators in the district are going to set forth our own proficiency standards. At least that's what I feel like we are doing, and I'd like to be a part of that discussion.
Well, you certainly will be, Mr. Barrow. You're on the academics committee. So my blood pressure just went way out of control.
I do have one other comment.
Sure.
One thing that I would like to challenge our district with is to communicate what we know versus what our report cards are going to show. And we see it many, many times. People move to our area and they do nothing but look at a school's report card and say, I don't want my kid to go to that school because that is not a good school. My child deserves better than that. And every one of us knows that that report card does not reflect who that school is. I have my own children in schools that, you know, a state report card or two would say that they are not a good school, and I know otherwise. I know that is, you know, these are the best schools. I chose for my children to come to Berkeley County Schools. It wasn't for lack of options. This is where we chose to live. And it is not fair to our schools that are going to be stuck in that nasty bell curve, that that is their only voice out there. We need to give them a better voice than that. And we need to have that side by side, because I'm sure this is going to be required to be on their web page or on our school district page. We need to have that side by side and not someplace hidden. We need to show what our report card says, what this is going to require, and what we know, what our schools are capable of.
Well, we can create our own report card.
Yes, ma'am. There's been talk about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Any further discussion? Do we have a motion?
I move to adjourn.
business?
Madam Chair, is this an action item for us to take up?
Is this an action?
Are we supposed to
I
approve
don't- I don't
this?
think so.
This is just information, correct?
Just a report.
Just to report
Just a
information.
report.
Okay.
I didn't
Just
think it was an
information.
action
Well, good, because I don't think I could, I could go along with this one.
We're voting, that would be a nah.
Yeah. So we have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned.